In this video, we're going to take a closer look at our 280Z glove box hinge and go over the installation process. Here we have it installed. You can see this dash is obviously not in a car and it's tipped up, so you can kind of see the bottom. Has the powder coated cover, new stainless hardware. You can't really see it, the aluminum hinge, until we take it apart and get a little bit of a closer look at it, which we'll do in a minute. Here I have another 280Z glove box door, and you can kind of see how they're originally set up with just this plastic flap. And what a lot of people find, this one's starting to go where they'll start to wear and crack, and then this will break off of here. So what we've done is we've created a solution that'll replace this with a aluminum hinge, powder coated black, new stainless hardware, new cover that covers the hinge itself down here. Kind of gives you a nice, easy solution that'll should last the life of your car. I'll roll it a little bit so it kind of gives you an idea of, when your dash is installed. You don't really see the little cover on the underneath side, but you and I both know it's there. So next, I'll go ahead and start. I'll pop this back apart and show you the different parts and pieces, and then we'll show how that goes together and how you prep your glove box door. All right, so I've taken the glove box door off. You can kind of see over here we got our dash. The factory one comes off pretty easy. You got the screw holes down here. Remove those. The catch here that keeps it from opening too far. Once you've unscrewed this, you can kind of twist it out of the slot. Works pretty good. You can see this one is new, or the original, and you can see how kind of nasty, rusty everything is. So we include new stainless hardware here. This is a factory piece that we just cleaned up, repowder coated for us here, but some new machine screws that go in there, and some new self-threading stainless screws that do this. You can see here our new aluminum hinge. This is powder coated black. And so if your glove box door starts out looking like this, which it should, or this is completely broken off, no big deal. So first step that I would do is remove all the screws. If yours are real nasty and rusty, you want to try not to strip out the heads. You can put a little lubricant on there, try to break that loose. You want to try not to need to drill them out because these are just in plastic. So you don't want to open up the holes that go into that plastic portion. And I'll kind of show you on this one as we open it back up, because one of the things that we'll need to do is we'll need to trim the bottom of the plastic door. So the inside of the door, sorry, not the outside, but the inside. So you can kind of see here how this is the OEM plastic and how it's slightly smaller than the original. And so if we look here on the end, see if we can get this. A lot of times the hinge will actually break across here, sometimes here, but there's a lip right here, and you'll want to cut this. So you could score it multiple times with a knife. I just ran this along on the bandsaw, which was super easy to trim that. If you find that you don't trim enough of it off, like let's say I left it too long, then this hinge won't actually flex up because it'll crash into the plastic. But you can see, nice clean edge. Wasn't hard to do. You can kind of actually follow the molding on the plastic that's right here. So just trim that off the bottom, and you're left with an edge basically that looks like this. So I mentioned taking all the screws out, and then so we can get this off. But the next problem is that generally you're going to have the latch or the lock for your glove box door. Technically, you probably could cut this without removing it, but it is easier to remove the latch and trim it that way. And so some people might actually be a little bit tricky to figure out how to pull this out. So it's got 2 Phillips screws that we're going to take out. And the fun thing about this is that, you know, you might end up coming to look at this video not even because you need a new glove box hinge, but because you're trying to figure out how to take your glove box lock and latch out. So yeah, pull those screws out, and then you'll find that it feels like it's stuck in here. So I'm going to go grab something real quick, and then I'll show you how to pop this out. So I just grabbed a little teeny little drill bit here. I think some people can use a paper clip, but if you look here, there's a little hole, and that's going to release the tumbler for your lock. And I had one of these that was real hard to get out. I actually had to tap it because it was all rusted. So if you're having a hard time, you might just want to, you know, get a little lubricant in there and let it soak. But yeah, basically, either way, I can push this in. You release the tumbler, and this will actually slide out. And you can kind of see right here, there's that little finger, and that's what you're actually pushing in. That's what's holding this whole thing in place. So then it comes apart. When you go to put it back together, you're going to need to push that little tab up when you go back in and put it in the same orientation. If you mix it around, then this will actually catch inside there, and the hole won't do you any good, and you'll get the lock jammed together and won't be able to get it back apart. So want to make sure that you put it back the same way. So anyway, I'll set that aside right here. So that way we can take a closer look at this. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew these screws that I've already put in, take this off, and then you can see what it looks like on the underside. So we have the button head little stainless steel screws. I mean, if you have better condition or you want to get different screws or reuse the factory ones, no big deal on that. The screws that hold this in are machine screws, and so we got a couple new M4 stainless machine screws that we're including, so you can put this guy back on. So now that I've got all the screws out and I've pulled the lock out, you can kind of see this just comes apart. Initially, if you still have the hinge hanging on, or if it's broken, you'll have a little bit more plastic on here. And yeah, what I did is I just, like I said, I trimmed this down in the bandsaw, but you know, a jigsaw, or even if you're careful, you can draw some lines and do some light scores with a box knife, and just do it over and over again. You just don't want to push hard, because if you push too hard, the risk is that you'll get one offline and make a wonky edge, and two, you run the risk of cutting yourself. So, you know, nice light scores. It might take a little bit, but that's an easy option too. So that's really the prep work you got to do, and you know, clean it up if you want, if it's kind of gross. But so here's our hinge. This actually has a little lubricant on it still. But here's the hinge that's powder coated black. You can see that you have a shorter flange on this side, and you've got some small oval holes and then some long ones here for adjustability. These holes line up with the holes that are in the back of the glove box door. And so you can kind of see that they'll come in here. And this essentially just pushes all the way in. I'm pushing it all the way in, so that way this knuckle is basically hitting on this lip right here. So it's relatively easy to line up. You do have some flexibility left and right, but really that shouldn't make a whole lot of difference unless you're finding that you need to center your glove box door a little differently. You can loosen the screws, and you can adjust it left to right. And then these longer slotted holes that'll mount to the dash will give you adjustability also if you need to angle the glove box door like so. So the knuckle goes down, butted up against that lip. We take the plastic piece, the OEM piece that we've already trimmed. We line that up, kind of lock it in place. I'm going to pretty well center this hinge. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the screws back in it, put our catch in there, and then I'm going to put the latch back in. So you probably saw me using the drill to put these screws in, but I highly recommend against that. I just do it for expediency, but since these are threaded into plastic, it's really easy to strip them out. So use a hand screwdriver when you're going ahead and applying the screws in here. So just wanted to point that out. And then next we'll put the latch and the lock back in. Okay, so I've got the inside of my latch. You know, I sprayed this down with some WD-40, make sure it's working real nice for me again. Slide that in, and then I'm holding it with my fingers here. That little finger right here that we pushed out, you can see the ones on the top, that's for the key, but this bottom one that holds it in, I'm going to put that into the bottom, and I kind of push that down just ever so slightly so that way I can get this to slide back in. Click. I don't know if you heard that on the camera, but it clicked in. Now we're locked back in. Then I'm going to put these screws back in. These we're not replacing with new screws. We're going to use the factory ones. And again, I would recommend to use your hand screwdriver because you want to make sure that you don't strip out the inserts. And away we go. Got that back in. That's working good. We got all this attached. I got my catch here. So now I'm going to take it and I'm going to get this back in the dash, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach the bottom. Okay, so you can kind of see you got the little foot here. And so I just kind of angle the whole thing to get that to pop in. So then it's locked in place. I could fish this in and then attach this afterwards if you're having a hard time with that. But I prefer to do it like this because it's kind of a pain to tighten this back on after it's already hooked in. Then I'll actually go ahead and position this and click it in place to latch it and try to align it the best I can. This dash, you can kind of see from the top side, is not in the best condition. So the gaps when I pulled it off weren't perfect, but that's just kind of the way they are, especially if you get one like this, it's a little tweaked. But that's the nice thing about our hinge down here at the bottom with it being slotted is that you can actually, and click it, you can actually adjust your angle of how this mounts plus the in out. So I'm going to click it in though because that's what I prefer to do. And then we have our new stainless steel screws and our cover piece that are provided. So these holes have a slight slot to them, and they're actually not centered. So there's more room that goes on the top than on the bottom. And I'll just put this in position here, and then I'll start to hand thread in our machine screws that will go through the cover as well as through the hinge. And again, I'm not tightening them down. Because I still have the option to adjust this until I tighten it down, even though I'm putting the cover on, the hinge cover. It will allow me to still make adjustments. And this does have a little bit of play to it. You can see that. And one of the things you want to make sure before you get it all the way tightened down is that the angle at which this opens doesn't actually catch on that lip. So it shouldn't. So once I get it clicked in, I'm generally going to push this with that little bit of play. I'm going to push it towards the back. And then I'm going to go ahead, make sure my gaps are the way I want them. And then I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down. So I'll do that here in a minute. So I'm making these nice and snug. I'm not going to tighten these down to try to like go crazy, but I want to make sure they're tight, they're snug. And then my latch and everything works, because I can loosen these and I can shove the whole thing down if I need a little more gap at the top or not. So then this will open up, and I'm clearing this whole lip right here. And you can kind of see on mine, I've got a little more space here than I do on this side over here. So if I wanted to, I could loosen this and I could angle that up. But I don't think I'm going to bother necessarily moving it because the reveal's pretty decent. But I could. And so essentially now it's pretty much done. And you can kind of see, from the top side, you really can't tell that there's much difference. You have the black hinge, so it kind of all hides and blends in. But now you don't have to worry about that plastic one breaking out on you. You've got a nice new aluminum powder-coated hinge with a nice powder-coated hinge cover right there at the bottom and some new stainless steel hardware. This is available from Skillard.com. If you have any questions, please email sales@skillard.com.